So I want to be doing a review on the top 10 calisthenics exercises for building muscle from Athlean-x, and I want it to come from a Calisthenics Channel's Response review on some of his top 10 exercises, and I want to go through some of them step by step, see if I agree with not only the choice in the exercise and also the execution of what he's promoting, but I want to actually recommend in some cases, if I disagree, what exercises I would have there in its place. What I like from the get-go is a channel like Athlean-x's, which is 15 million subscribers. A way that they promote the resistance training in this is in the form of weightlifting, using weights, dumbbells, machines. So the fact that he's promoting calisthenics in this light, I think is fantastic. And he makes a very, very good point of, yes, we can do what we want in a weight room, but it's how we stand on our own 2 feet and how we exhibit that strength, that muscle, and that performance with actually moving and using our own body weight. And I think that's a really, really key thing to point out. And just how complimentary he is of calisthenics, I think it's going to be a great way of getting more and more people to not just look at weightlifting in the form of building muscle and getting strong, but also calisthenics has its place as well. So the first one that Athlean-x talks about is the human pullover. And although this may be a really great exercise, it may get really, really great lat activation, I cannot see it being one of the best calisthenic exercises for building muscle. When he said at first that we're not going to be at the pull-up bar, I instinctively thought it was going to be in the inverted row, and when it wasn't, I was slightly disappointed. Although it may seem like a great exercise, I would say that the inverted row would be a better exercise to put in here. Considering some of the other exercises within this list, I would say we wouldn't need another lat-driven back exercise, but more of a mid-back rhomboid trap rear delt focused exercise would be better. The inverted row is obviously easier to make it regressive or progressive, and you can make this exercise very, very challenging. However, with the human pullover, it seems that only a few number of people would be able to do this, and one point he makes in the video is that it could be ab driven if you do not do it correctly. And I feel like with this sort of exercise, it would be very, very easy for people to put primarily the focus using their abs as opposed to their lats. So although it may be a great exercise, I do not think it's in the top 10 or the best exercises for calisthenics for building muscle, and I would say a better replacement would be the inverted row. So number 2 on the list is the chin up, and I'm kind of in agreement and disagreement with this advice. The first one is definitely the chin up is a great exercise, one of the best exercises you can do, and it's definitely one of the best exercises if you're looking to build your biceps. There's no point doing bicep curls and any of this isolation work when something like the chin up exists, which is probably one of the best exercises you can do for building your biceps. However, what I disagree with is his execution of the lift, where he's talking about being further away from the bar and that relationship with your bar towards the body, how it's going to place more of a focus on the bicep. Where in my opinion, any sort of back exercise where you're going to be having flexion of the elbow is going to be putting work on the bicep and tension on the bicep. With this exercise, is because you're already in supination and the position that you're in, you're already going to be placing a lot of load or a lot of tension on the bicep. I don't think you're going to build any bigger biceps by trying to change the way that your body moves to place more of a tension on the biceps. I would say it's a compound exercise that you're trying to make more isolating, which I don't think is a good thing. You'd be better just doing the chin up fully and trying to take full advantage of the biceps and the back, which is probably going to allow you to do more reps, more volume, possibly do a weighted version, which will be even more intensity or even more tension on the bicep. So I don't think you're going to get any more bicep growth, but I think you're going to be leaving gains in the tank where you could possibly capitalize on this great exercise by building your biceps and your back. So number 3 on the list, and this is something that I'm in complete agreement with, is the handstand push-up. There's not really a lot to say with this one, but if you're looking for a great calisthenics version of the overhead press, you're not going to find better than the handstand push-up. The handstand push-up is a fantastic exercise for not only building your shoulders, for building your traps, but also your triceps. Virtually no equipment, all you need is a wall. So I would say the handstand push-up is a great exercise and something I totally agree with on this one. So at number 4, we have the glute ham raise, and it's nice to finally see a leg exercise, especially one like this, which I was a little bit surprised to be able to see. Normally you would think of a pistol squat, a shrimp squat, or even a lunge. However, he's come in with the glute ham raise, which is, I think, a really, really great exercise to promote, because for any of you that have ever done this exercise, you will realize how hard it hits your hamstrings, how hard it hits your glutes. And in many cases, you can't replicate this in some of the either bigger compound exercises. And the posterior chain, the glutes, the hamstrings, especially the hamstrings in a lot of leg exercises, it's very easy for them to get neglected. So an exercise like this, which is so fantastic for sometimes helping build up that imbalance, which normally happens between quad and hamstrings and a lot of these other exercises, this is a fantastic exercise to be able to promote. And it just shows that there are some great hamstring exercises when it comes to calisthenics. So at number 5, we have the push-up. And in both cases, I'm going to agree with Athlean-x here. Yes, the push-up is a fantastic exercise. It's basically what your foundation of calisthenics should be. It's one of the best chest, shoulder, tricep builders you can do, and it's a foundation to other calisthenics exercises. However, I also agree with what he's talking about. You need to make sure that you are using the right progression of the push-up if you want to start building muscle and getting stronger and fitter. Just by doing more and more reps or just sticking with the same base push-up, if that's something you find very, very easy, you need to move on to a harder progression. He makes another point of how the depth of making sure the last 2 inches of making sure that that's done. The push-up is very, very common where people are so focused on doing a number of reps that they just bang them out for quick and they never actually do a full range of motion or a consistent range of motion. And many will not touch their chest to the floor or have that consistency of a good level of range of motion. So I think that's an important distinction to make, is that a lot of people do not do that. So I agree with that and the execution of making sure that you pick the right progression for you that allows you to build muscle. So at number 6, we have the hanging leg raise, and I'm glad to see this ab exercise compared to something like maybe just a generic sit-up or even the plank. The hanging leg raise is a great exercise because not only are you working your core, you're also going to be working your back and you're going to be working your grip. It's a lot easier as well to actually get that tilt of your pelvis, which is very, very key to actually really hitting your abs. And the great thing about it is that you can make it easily progressive or regressive depending on what you are. If you just want to focus on the knee lift because you're not as strong, if you want to make it harder, you can extend your leg. If you want, you can go even further and go toes to bar. What I also like about the point that he made is at the end of the day, resistance is resistance, whether you're using your body weight or whether you're using your weight. They're both keys and tools to allow you to get bigger and getting stronger. So at number 7, we have the dip. So this was bound to be on the list. It's one of the bread and butter when it comes to calisthenics, and it's one of the best ways for building your chest, shoulders, and triceps. And it's very, very easy to make it harder just by adding on weight. It's known as one of the king of the lifts, or allowing you to build muscle to getting stronger. And it's a simple exercise to do. It is a harder variation than the base push-up, which is a point I agree with in his video. However, obviously you can make the push-up even harder, but still he makes a point of saying it's a harder variation because you are lifting your whole entire body weight, and that can allow you to get bigger and stronger when it comes to your chest, shoulders, and triceps. So at number 8, we have the pull-up. And by this point in watching the video, I'm assuming this video isn't in a list of a top 10, because obviously I would say that the pull-up should be number 1. A few times he's made that sort of comment, so I'm a little bit surprised that the pull-up is down this low, especially considering the points that he's made in the video, which is this is one of the best lifts you can do. It's one of the best exercises you can do for building your back. Whether you're doing weights or not, this sort of exercise should be included in your program, and that I completely agree with. Whether you're doing weightlifting or not, the pull-up is that good that you should be adding it into your training. So I completely agree with this exercise, the way in which you can do it. There's very many different variations of the pull-up you can do, but the exercise is that good in building up your back, building up your biceps. The only thing I would say is this, if it is in the top 10 list, this one needs to be at number 1. So at number 9, we have the doorway face pull. So this, when actually watching, was actually quite a nice surprise, because the face pull is something that people should be doing more of, because it's great at compensating for a lot of weaknesses that people have in their back, especially working on stuff like their rotator cuff, the external rotator, because people are very, very focused on their chest and their lats, which are both internal rotators. So actually working on some external rotation is actually going to be a good thing for shoulder health, stability, and strength. So it's good to see that this exercise is put in. I'm a little bit surprised of the doorway version, but it's actually nice for it to add, because then people who are struggling to be able to do calisthenics can find a way in which they can do it at home. The most typical way that I've seen this is by using a suspension train or a set of gymnastic rings and sort of like doing a wide pull, kind of pulling like that. But for anyone that doesn't have gymnastic rings or somewhere to anchor it, at least this option gives people a way of doing it in a home setting. And if it gets people doing the face pull or a body weight face pull, then I think that's a good addition. Can't think of another substitute you can have other than maybe using gymnastic rings or a suspension trainer. I'm just glad that he's actually promoting using face pulls from a calisthenics standpoint, which I think is really, really good. So at number 10, we have the levitation squat. And this, if any of you have actually watched any of my previous videos, I've actually done a few of these in the past, and they are a great exercise. They are a little bit different, and like he's mentioned about the pistol squat, sometimes the pistol squat isn't so easy to do. This one allows people to do it. You're able to sort of find a depth or a position with your knee that for some people who might find stuff like the pistol squat or other exercises a bit hard on the knee, this is a little bit different, but it's still a great exercise for people that can't do the pistol squat or for people that can't do a shrimp squat. And I do like the fact that it's being promoted, because not a lot of people even talk about it, let alone promote it. But what I would recommend in sort of substitution here would be something like the step up. The step up, I think, is a better exercise because it's easier to make it progressive or aggressive. You can just simply change the height of whatever you're standing, whether it be a box, whether it be a wall. You can change the depth, which is going to change that. You can actually step up onto the wall and use that way, or you can actually go from the side and kind of use it as like an elevated pistol squat, because a lot of time people can't do it because the floor gets in the way. They can't get their supporting leg up so that it can come down, but you can use this as a way of training towards a pistol squat. And a lot of time I find that I get more of a all-round leg activation and glutes, and I can change what I'm doing with my body, where I can actually change where I'm feeling it more, or which one is doing the prime movement. moving. So I would say the step up is a better variation to the levitation squat. However, I think a levitation squat is still a great exercise and something I think more and more people should be doing. So I want to know your opinion. Do you agree with Athlean-x? Do you like the execution? Do you like the exercises? Would that be your top 10? What do you think of my variation of what I think about these things? And if you could pick a top 10 for you, what would be your top 10 calisthenics exercises? Obviously the list that I've gone through, that would not be my top 10. Like I said, pull up would be definitely at number top, but I want to know what yours are down below. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like. If you want more content like this, make sure that you subscribe, hit that bell icon so you get notified of whenever I upload. And if you want to check out the original video, then I'll leave a link to that down below and let them know what you think as well. And I'll see you guys in the next video.